After guiding his company's engineering teams across 10 global offices as a CTO, this seasoned technology and hypergrowth startup leader is now the CEO at a travel technology and internet product company that famously had its origins as a humble Excel spreadsheet. Please welcome the CEO of Skyscanner, Bryan Dove. Take a seat. I'm glad that we're talking here in the slightly warmer climate of Los Angeles rather than our respective abodes of Edinburgh and London, so it's nice to be here. Thank you for joining us. Now, we met back in May at the Phocuswright Europe event in Amsterdam, and that was on the eve of you being announced as the CEO. You replaced Gareth, who we've had here on the stage a couple of times. I mean, do you think they were fairly big shoes to fill, given that he was the leader of the organization from the beginning?
Oh, certainly. I think first and foremost, he's a founder. And whenever you have a founder-led organization, there's an additional level of credibility that comes along with that. I'm also a first-time CEO, so definitely quite a lot of learning that goes along with that. One of the things that's been really great is Garrett's been incredibly supportive. I talk to him still on a regular basis. We've worked together for a couple of years and have a really high trust relationship, and so I still talk to him daily or weekly. He's a text away and get plenty of advice and support.
Okay, so you said this was your first CEO role. You had been with the organization for a while. Within your background, what do you think that you brought to the organization that perhaps they weren't doing before?
Yeah, so the last couple of companies I had worked for were some of the large technology players, not necessarily in travel, but companies like Microsoft and Amazon. And one of the original goals when I joined the organization was to really focus on saying, how do we continue to grow the organization? What does the next level of scale look like? What is the next level of professionalism, of global? When you look at the number of travelers that we serve, we have the privilege of serving 80 million plus travelers every month. And what does that mean from a burden on the technology systems, on the processes, on the way that we organize, the way that we continue to scale and grow the company?
Okay, so it's a big acquisition. You were bought by Ctrip a couple of years ago. What's it like working with an organization, firstly, of that size? It was a high-profile acquisition. I mean, yourselves, that one, and then Kayak was bought by the Priceline Group, as it was a couple of years before. And now there's this kind of coalescing of metasearch players under even larger players. So what's it like working initially for Ctrip?
Yeah, so I think part of it is we have a relatively unique approach and structure. In previous companies, I've been on the acquiring side, and I've never really seen the level of operational independence that we've had in our structure with Ctrip. And so we continue to run the company independently. We have a board of directors that certainly has a number of the Ctrip executives that sit on there. And we have a level of access and openness to learn from them, to get access to some of their technology if we so choose. But the decisions remain solely with us to decide how can we take advantage of that and leverage that to best serve our customers around the world.
Is that something that you prefer, having that level of independence, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think the operational independence gives us the freedom to do what we think is in the best interest of our customers. One of the things that's that's unique for us is to balance how do we serve customers in all of the different countries around the world. We have audience of scale in over 70 countries globally, and so we think quite a lot about what does it take to balance the needs across Southeast Asia, across Latin America, North America, Europe, North Asia, APAC, and everything in between.
But do you have to clear things first with Ctrip? So, for example, you wanted to do something that was completely new or a territory that you weren't in. Do you have to ring up the mothership and tell them that this is your plan and then hope that they give you a thumbs up or a thumbs down?
No, I mean, I think it's quite similar.
You are that independent.
It's quite similar to being an independent organization with a board of directors. Yeah. And so if you're going to do something that has dramatic implications either for product strategy, for capital investment, for financial implications, certainly you would want to inform your board of your strategy. That's running a responsible company, but there's no out-of-cycle approval cycles or things that you might see in larger organizations where you go through meeting after meeting to get a rubber stamp.
Okay, well, great, congratulations, that's good. So let's get down to some specific things with regards to Skyscanner then. So MetaBook, or instant booking as it's been called by other organizations, where you facilitate the booking within the metasearch model. You're making a fairly big bet on that. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, I think what's more what's more interesting is why we're betting on that. And one of the key things for us, we talk about it a bit as direct booking. And our first and foremost is to focus on what's the right way to serve customers on a mobile device. Those who saw Maggie's opening presentation talked about in the US, less than 20% of bookings are still happening on a phone. And we all know from our lives, you're not using your desktop computer to order a taxi or to even buy large ticket items like maybe like a TV. You might just pull out an app and go through that. And so I think our first and foremost focus is on what's best for our customers and what's required to deliver a great mobile experience. And we find moving that booking experience and making it seamless and integrated is important, while balancing with the needs of our partners to make sure that they're still getting all the details of the customers they're working with, they still have access to the CRM contact details, they can manage all the follow-up, and they can develop that relationship with their customers.
Is it a difficult thing to do either technically or strategically, given that you're really pushing this as a concept within the metasearch sector, and others perhaps haven't followed on as quickly behind you? Is it because it's difficult to do?
So I'm not sure, I can't speak to other strategies, but when I look at it for us, there's certainly an amount of headwinds. There's a lot of technology, a lot of dependencies that we have that haven't existed before. If you look at the emergence and growth in NDC as a standard on the air side, it's been around for a number of years, but really gaining momentum in the last couple of years. And we've certainly been an advocate of that and continuing to push and continuing to support that. There's work that we have to do, things that we have to learn to make sure that we're responsibly managing somebody else's funnel and doing the right things on their behalf, and at the same time helping to support our customers as they develop newer technology.
I mean, it really is coming into the mainstream. Sabre has bought Fairlogics this morning, it says a lot about how far NDC has come, for example. I mean, just on, last thing on meta booking then. So the majority of the people that you're doing that direct connection with are suppliers, is that correct?
Yeah, so
as in airlines and hotels.
Yeah, so our journey on flights direct booking has been over a number of years, and we've looked on different types of partners and different setups. What we found resonates best with our customers is really focus on bringing on the airlines that they're already choosing to book with directly and making that process seamless and easy. Our partners really appreciate it. They still get all the customer details, and they've seen goal completion and conversion rates continue to increase. And so we see that as a win for all involved.
What do your OTA customers think about you sending the booking straight to the supplier?
So we're not biasing the traffic in any way. We're giving our customers the choice that they want, and so there's no restriction on them to choose and to book with an OTA. And often the customers will make those trade-offs. There are some OTAs that we work with on the direct booking side. We've experimented with some different patterns. What we look for right now is making sure that we can offer something that's really unique to our customers. And perhaps unique inventory. And then as we keep experimenting, we had done some early OTA experiments on air that didn't quite work out, not for the partner nor for us, and so we made a collective decision.
What do you mean by they didn't work out?
So one of the balances when we work with our agency partners is make sure that we're also meeting their needs. And so that might be around conversion rate, attach, upsell, opportunities to develop that direct relationship. And for a number of our partners, there are still OTA partners that are on the platform now that are doing quite well. Ctrip talks about this a lot. Kiwi, where I know Oliver was up here yesterday, is another partner that we have live today.
Okay. Just in our research leading up to this, some of the feedback we've been getting is that you seem to be doing, in inverted commas, quite well with hotels, and the way you're having an impact there. What is it that you're doing differently that's making people say to us that you're doing well with hotels, do you think?
Well, first, thanks for the feedback. The 2018 for us has been really a year where we've been working to reinvent and reapproach our hotels metasearch approach. And one of that is really focusing on what's great for customers, bringing out richer images, a larger image placement. We made a small acquisition last fall that brought in some social media data attached to hotels, so it helps customers not only look at stock photos, but be able to seamlessly blend that with what's coming up on Instagram and Twitter. And the feedback from our travelers and from our partners has been really positive, and it's just been a continual investment throughout the year to bring something that's going to really resonate.
You started in flights, and hotels have come along, which you're apparently doing well at. I mean, what other sectors would you like to consider as being something that lend themselves to the metasearch model, do you think?
So there's certainly a number of sectors where over time the idea of being able to compare your options and make an informed product and price choice would certainly apply across all things travel. I think maybe there are areas like alternative accommodations that we've looked into and are still looking to see if there's a way that could make sense there. Looking at things like activities and tours that we've seen a number of activity in the sector, but right now nothing that's expansion. The most recent one we introduced was Rail, which is only in the app and only for the UK market, and now expanding into a couple other European locations where it matters.
I'm glad you mentioned activities, but you're so big and you've got so much scale and a brand that you can perhaps launch into something such as hotels, which has been a bit more recently. But if you were considering attractions, but then you see that an organization like Google, which is arguably infinitely bigger than you, does that put you off perhaps going into that sector because you may not be able to gain the advantage that you would have done before because they're bigger than you?
So let me tell you how we would make that type of trade-off. The first thing that we look at is what are the things that we can serve our travelers best with? Can we do something that's unique? Can we do something that creates value? And we start there. And certainly you want to be aware of the competitive landscape, because not only do you want to make sure that you can provide value to your travelers, you want to make sure that it'll be differentiated in a way that will matter and resonate with them. And so we look at it that way. Any entrance that we would do, we would certainly look at other competitors. You mentioned Google. There's certainly a number of other competitors that have invested quite a lot in that space. And so we would look at that before making a choice to enter into any of them.
So you would just kind of weigh up the options and see, you would admit, therefore, then that if you think it's going to be too difficult because they may be bigger than you would just pull back?
Well, we first and foremost, we start from what makes sense for the customer.
Right.
And we look at, can we offer something that's unique? Can we offer something that's valuable? And if we start there and really do something deliberate for the traveler that's going to stand out and is going to add value, then we won't let something else get in our way. But we first and foremost think about that.
Okay. We were talking a couple of weeks ago, and some of the more kind of bigger picture things I thought were quite interesting. I mean, you were saying that the desktop is probably the last consumer area where it dominates in this industry, and also that you said that we're very good at optimizing on the purchase in mobile, but we're actually not particularly good at optimizing further up the funnel. How can the industry at large, and perhaps you, just change that kind of thing?
Yeah, well, I think it starts from recognizing that as an industry, we're not meeting consumers' expectations. Consumers expect to be able to do everything from their phone, and it doesn't matter which organization you look at. Most companies in travel will see search traffic dominant on mobile, and yet purchase traffic still dominant on the desktop computer. And if we think about the other types of consumer industries that we use just in our personal lives, the world has shifted to phones. So one, I think there's a deliberate catch-up there. I think the ways that we have to think about, the ways that we have to innovate, changes some of the dynamics when you think about customer acquisition, when you think about the way to go after traffic, when you think about what does that right mobile experience need to look like. Some of the experiences that we have that are built on the idea of opening additional tabs in your browser or doing a redirect or things like this just don't always make sense in giving a customer exactly the best world-class mobile experience that they may expect from all of the other verticals that they interact with on a daily basis.
Okay. Do you think your app is doing a good job, though? It's incredibly popular. It's got millions of downloads. But what could you do to your app to make it even better, do you think?
Well, so we're always working on improving our app. It's, I think, over 70 million downloads now. We think all of our travelers that have downloaded it and continue to use it. We think similar to anything else, it's a never-ending quest to make sure that we can make that better. How do we increase what's happening in our flights product, our moves on direct booking, are really to bring that and make that a seamless, easy experience for customers, both the first time they're booking and especially for that repeat purchase experience, innovating in the hotel space, helping them understand what restaurants and activities are nearby to where their hotel is and see some reviews on that. So just continuing to innovate and help people really get as much value as possible from the app.
And part of that presumably was behind the acquisition of Trip.com or GoGoBot, as it was, to bring in more kind of content and just widen out what the app could do.
Definitely. So that the now known as the Trip by Skyscanner app really focuses on having travelers bring back really relevant and high quality user-generated reviews. And then we've recently started to integrate that in. The first point of integration is really in the hotel space. When you're making a decision on a hotel, you want to look at a map and know what restaurants, what activities, what things are there to do nearby, and how do other people review them, how do they rate them. And one of the things that the former GoGoBot and then Trip by Skyscanner team had done is they spent a lot of time on the AI piece. So it's not just generic reviews, it really becomes tailored down to what type of traveler are you, what are the types of interests that you may have, and tailor those reviews and that feedback around you on a personal level.
Because Skyscanner really is right at the booking phase. Do you want Skyscanner and the various incarnations that it has, Trip by Skyscanner, to become more of a a device that helps people throughout the journey? Because then your competitor becomes somebody like TripAdvisor, right?
Well, so I think our focus is really on creating value. I think one of the things that, as an industry, we look a lot at the moment of purchase, especially on the big ticket items like a flight and hotel, and that's where a lot of the monetization comes from. But how do we use that to really fund the rest of that experience? So rather than customers coming once or twice a year, how do you provide real value to your travelers? How do you give them a reason to value Skyscanner kind of post that purchase experience? And that's certainly something that we'll continue to invest in.
Meta booking or direct booking, adding different things that can enhance the experience. But what do you sense is the future for metasearch? Is it at the moment? Is it just expanding those elements, or is there other things that you think it could go to?
Well, I think when you look over a multi-year horizon, there's a couple of problems that are really pertinent to solve. First and foremost is helping customers have a great experience on their phone. And one of the things we talk about internally is at the point where you can book every piece of travel that you ever wanted on your phone, it's easy, it feels like one click, you pay with your Apple Pay or Samsung Pay or Alipay, most consumers will kind of just shrug and think, that's how it always should have worked. Yep. Right? That's where we are as an industry relative to what all of the other apps that are on a consumer's phone and the expectations that they have. So I think first and foremost, we need to deliver, as an industry, a world-class customer experience on the phone. I think when you look beyond that, that's almost table stakes. And then beyond that, how do you expand to create additional value to help travelers make informed decisions? Personalization, lots of people will talk about personalization as a key thing to do, but making that real, making it down to you as the individual, it's challenging for a number of reasons, but I think those are the types of areas that will really start to stand out for customers and the things they'll value.
So you've said we a lot there, and you obviously mean yourself and your peers that are owned by large organizations, and you've got lots of money to do so. To draw on the theme of the power paradox, do you think there is an opportunity for a brand to start up and come along and disrupt what you do? Or do you think...
100%. I think any industry that's thought that it was locked into a small number of power holders has seen itself disrupted over the history of time. Yep. And I think it's when a company achieves success, when it begins to scale, it's at its own peril to start to become complacent, to start to rest on its laurels. I think this is a classic innovator dilemma problem, is that as you get larger, it becomes more comfortable to extend what you have rather than constantly looking for what's the next area that's going to disrupt, what's the next innovation that's going to really resonate with customers. And all of us are primarily in the consumer industry. And consumers at the end of the day have fickle tastes. And it's a matter of giving them the absolute best experience that you can and keeping up with their expectations, exceeding their expectations. And those are the types of things that are going to resonate, whether it's for companies that have scale or whether it's for new entrants into the field.
Okay, perfect timing. Bryan Dove, the CEO of Skyscanner, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bryan.
McGillivray Freeman Films invites you and your family on an amazing adventure to the extraordinary places where America's music was born. Experience the foot-stomping, trailblazing music of America and explore the sounds and spirit that bring us together. America's musical journey.